The other angle is the opponents of Mr. President, political opponents of Mr. President, the sort of statements they've been making in the past. The dog and the baboon will be soaked in blood. We will make the country ungovernable. Those who make peaceful change impossible, make violent change inevitable. We've heard these sort of statements from various opponents. I'm not saying opposition figures now, opponents of Mr. President. And a lot of them today, interestingly enough, belong to the same political party.
But some of them,
APC.
Isn't it the same thing, opponents and opposition figures?
Yeah, that's not exactly true, because Alhaji Atiku was a member of the PDP when he made the now infamous statement of those who make peaceful change impossible, make violent change inevitable. He was a member of the PDP at the time.
Okay, but
technically,
the comments that have come through from the governor, you made reference to the comments coming from Asari about the authenticity of this entire scenario. But we heard
not that I agree with those statements.
Yeah,
by the way.
but we heard the governor say, I think now we hear there are 77 who have been identified as being kidnapped. And then you also heard the president. None of them have said it's not true that they were not kidnapped. So the comment by the governor about parents who have been able to identify 77, doesn't that validate that this actually happened and that we need to find them?
I have never once doubted that girls are missing. I've never once doubted that. But the circumstances under which they went missing call for close scrutiny, I think. I think that perhaps the governor and at least one senator from his state are not telling us everything they know. They're not. I think that there's a lot more that they know that they're not telling.
Are we asking them?
I think questions have been asked, but they've been quite sly about not answering questions that are put to them directly and giving wrong information. I mean, the army have said, I think Major General Lukolade said a few days ago that the army was being given false information and they were being sent on wild goose chases by people in authority. And I believe that he may have been referring to these particular senators and the governor himself.
Are you satisfied with the way the state is handling this matter at the moment? I mean, the state, the country.
I'm not. I'm not 100% satisfied. I believe that a state of emergency, a full state of emergency and martial law should be declared in those states, and those political office holders, the governors, should not continue to enjoy the perks of office while this chaos is going on in their states.
What if that happens and we still don't, because we hear
it's not going to happen immediately. We will not immediately, it's not a magic bullet, as it were, okay? We will not immediately then now overcome the terrorists, Boko Haram, Yeti Allah, whatever name they choose to be called by, okay? But it will set the tone, it will set the stage for their eventual route.
What about the political consideration? Should we just jettison all of those and
yes,
say,
we
no,
should.
no, this is security, let's sort it out?
Human life is far more important than any political considerations. And I make bold to say again that Mr. President should forget political correctness at this stage and focus on preserving the lives of ordinary Nigerians that are depending on the state.
What about the legal implications?
Only those who are alive can sue. So let's preserve the people's lives first and then go and start performing all sorts of legal acrobatics.
What about those who are supposed to help preserve those lives?
Excuse
the
me?
military personnel, the security personnel, what
Yes.
about them?
How
Are they
about them?
capable? Or do you think they're capable? They have what it takes?
I think they do. It's the same Nigerian army that ended the war in Sierra Leone, the same Nigerian army that ended the war in Liberia. It's
So
the
you're
same
not,
Nigerian army. It's not
bothered
changed.
about their morale or equipment?
It's not changed much in terms of, they haven't changed much in terms of their mentality, in terms of their mental toughness. They haven't changed much. But in terms of logistical support, I think perhaps, again, that comes down to internal sabotage. And that's why I said earlier that perhaps a little more scrutiny needs to be brought to bear.
But the thing about this,
on the commanding officers.
the thing about this internal sabotage, when some people mention it, some of those maybe in high command or junior officers say, it's a rumor, it doesn't happen. Shouldn't they come clean on what is actually going on?
I'll give you an example. I saw pictures yesterday. I don't know how authentic those pictures are of the Nigerian army men and officers advancing in the scrubland. I believe they said it's somewhere around the Chibok area or on the way to Chibok. Those pictures were excruciating in the fact that the equipment that the men had, Toyota Hilux pickups, stuck in mud, armored personnel carriers being dug out of mud by villagers. I don't know.
I don't need to tell us if that's a recent picture or a
that's what I need to know. I mean, I think that it doesn't bode well for our men to deploy in that manner with that sort of equipment. It doesn't bode well. And I think that certain people in the military need to start answering questions really quickly, and perhaps if those pictures are not genuine, then they should come out and debunk them and tell us what those pictures are about.
Before they had that meeting in France, where the West African leaders came in,
yes,
we always talked about the fact that, look, what is happening to states, countries, neighboring countries cooperating with Nigeria? Are we asking them the right way, or are we just expecting that they will come clean or come to our aid because for the sake of being sympathetic? Now, I had to take that meeting to hold for African leaders in the West African coast to drum up that kind of support. Shouldn't we have done a lot more to get that kind of support without that meeting holding?
In order to understand the dynamics of that meeting, you need to understand the relationships that our neighbors have with their colonial master, France. I hope you note that I didn't say former colonial master, because France still controls most profoundly all of our neighbors, and most especially their economies. Okay? They will not move unless the French instruct them to.
But remember,
they will not.
Former President Obasanjo and the Benin Republic scenario, is that not a typology?
Well,
of
President Obasanjo is President Obasanjo. It's a different kind of person. And he held the balls, forgive my French, of our neighbors by shutting down the borders to remind them who's boss. An effective shutdown of the Beninois border brought them very, very quickly to their senses and made them to understand that a good relationship with Nigeria is good for them. Now, I don't know if it's possible to do the same thing with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 neighbors at the same time. I'm not sure that we have enough financial or military clout to take them all on.
Some argue
at the same time.
We could put on the economic squeeze. That we've got the population.
That's my question.
We've got the economics.
I'm not sure that we can do that
way?
to all of them at the same time, especially with France in their corner. So we don't want to alienate their actual owner, as it were. And I think I don't think that at any point we ever stopped talking to them. I believe that dialogue has been going on, but it's not really made much headway. There was, if you remember, there has been a multinational joint task force.
But some say it's just on paper, that they haven't seen a lot. Look at the Cameroonian end, for instance.
It involves people from all of these countries, Niger, Chad, Cameroon. Okay, they had personnel in the multinational joint task force. But of course, maybe perhaps they were reluctant to engage as robustly as we would like. And now that they've started having Boko Haram incidents on their own soil, I think perhaps the fillip that was needed for them to enter the theater properly.
I know we're out of time
been
on this
provided.
one, but do you think we should consider redesigning our security architecture? Because funding for security, either from the police, from bottom up, needs to be re-examined.
If you're talking about the police, I've always said that those who provide our security need to be secured. I've never understood quite why a Nigerian policeman will go home at the end of the month with less than 100,000 naira in his pocket, and yet he has access to a high caliber AK-47 rifle. I don't get that. I find that really difficult to understand, especially when you hear of the sorts of monies that some state governors get as security votes, 1 billion per month or something of that nature. I will never understand that. So, yes, I agree with you. The architecture needs to be redesigned totally. We need to change our orientation as regards the welfare of the boots on the street, as it were. Okay, we need to change our mentality, and this is from the top.
All right, Babatunde Gbadamosi, we have to thank you very much indeed for coming on this morning.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Okay, then we're back in just a moment here on Sunrise Daily, so please join us again.